Do-do-do-do.
Live
Dun, dun, dun.
at last.
Hello, hello, hello. How are you?
Live and late and rather hot.
Live, late, and rather hot. Yeah. Have you practically wilted today?
Well, to be honest, I stayed in for quite a bit of it. I had to go out and post a couple of bits, but I didn't go out and immerse myself. It was a bit too warm for me.
I kept sort of popping out into the garden for 2 or 3 minutes at a time, apart from first thing this morning. Sort of 2 or 3 minutes here and 2 or 3 minutes there, and it's like, no, too much. Back in again.
It's lovely in the morning, though, isn't it, with the birds and the quiet.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. We've got a few people in, I believe. We've got Lee. Hello, good evening. Hope you're well and not melting. And we've got Redwing. Hello, and I hope you haven't wilted either. It's been a wilty sort of day. Yeah, even my spinach wilted before I cooked it.
No need for cooking then. I love that from Lee. So, ladies, do you wear black all the time? To be fair, not all the time when I feel like it, which is quite a lot of the time.
Yeah, I occasionally wear grey.
You do. I wear all sorts of colours, just depending on my mood. But black is a good go-to default, goes with everything, love it colour.
Yeah.
But I've been known to rock some brighter shades, yes, definitely.
Yeah. It's quite funny. Somebody said to me a while back, must be years ago now probably, but somebody said to me a while back, and it's like, oh, your wardrobe must be really, really dull and really dark. And I said, my wardrobe is bright and colourful. I've got bright pink coat hangers in it. 3 items of grey clothing. Everything else is black. Oh, actually, I do have a sort of a wine red dress. What else have I got? I don't often wear it. Every sort of couple of years, I feel brave and put that on. What else have I got? Oh, and I've got a purple top, actually, and I'll put that on. I had that on about 4 weeks ago. So, yes, I do occasionally wear colour, but it's very, very rare. It's always one to note in the diary if I do. I'm obviously having a good day. Hi, Susie. Hi, how are you? Are you melting, wilting, all the rest of it? It's actually raining where I am here. It's throwing it down. And we looked on the weather forecast, which is why we were a little bit late. And we were looking on the weather forecast, and I'm in for thunder and lightning. And Heather might get a bit too. So
yes, I'm directly due east of you. Absolutely, as the crow flies, I'm due east of you by 25 miles maybe, because you have to go around to get to you, so it's a lot longer. But at the moment, we haven't got it. It's still dry. We're kind of skirting on the edge of it, but I can feel it coming. It's that sort of...
Well, you get that sort of heavy, oppressive thing, don't you? It was funny because I put it out in the garden because the sun's in the garden till about 6:15 at the moment, and then it sort of goes round the side. Because as I'm sitting now, my garden in front of me is due south, so I'm literally facing due south at the moment. So obviously the sun rises there, and it sets there, and it disappears out the garden at about 6:15. So after that, actually, it's quite nice being in the garden. So I was out in the garden, I'd had some dinner and so on. And then I got a ping on my phone and it said, rain due at 7 o'clock. And it was 7 o'clock. And I thought, no, it isn't. I can see the sun. And about 10 minutes past 7, I felt splot, splot, splot. I thought, that'll be what that cloud's doing then.
It'll be raining.
Now it's throwing it down. So I'm kind of regretting the 20 minutes I spent watering my garden, really.
The clouds are leaking.
Yeah, they are. It was a complete waste of time, but never mind. Gave me something to do.
Exactly. I was bolting down my dinner, so it's always a bit of a rush.
Yes, it happens, doesn't it? I'll tell you what I did see this afternoon that was really odd on the many occasions that I tried to sit outside without much success. And I've got a telephone cable that goes in front of my house. And obviously then there's a telegraph pole. And 2 birds landed on the telegraph pole and the cable just next to it. And the one that landed on the pole was a kestrel. And the one that landed about a foot away was a magpie. And it was really funny watching the 2 of them together. The kestrel was sort of up on his pole, being all high and mighty, like, look at me, I'm a kestrel and I'm terribly important. And the magpie kept sort of giving him sideways glances like, I think you'll find it's me that's important. And he kept sidling up and glaring at this kestrel. And eventually he sort of went and sort of flew off. And the kestrel just sort of sat there like, yeah, you see, I told you I was important.
Oh.
Really funny. But he kept sort of sidling up to him. Eventually he got about 6 inches away and they just were staring at each other. It was very odd. It's not sort of something you see every day.
Maybe they had beef. Or whatever the vegan version of that is. Maybe there was unfinished business.
It was funny, it really was. But the expression on this magpie's face, it's like, well, how dare you? How very dare you? Oh dear. So what have you been up to then?
Oh my God. Well, it feels like a lot. I feel like I've been running around like a mad thing, and yet I have to scratch my head to think what I've actually been up to. Yeah, bit of reorganising, bit of tidying up, sorting the van out, ready. Yeah, it's just been like wading through treacle. It's been one of them weeks where getting anything done seems to have taken a lot longer than it should have.
Yeah, I know. I must admit, there's been several occasions I've literally just sat going, I don't know what I'm supposed to do next because I've got 1,000 things to do, and I'm like, I actually don't know what I should do now.
You have to sit around and
one thing at a time, and I'm like, yeah, but what thing? What do I do now? I don't know. I'll have a cup of tea and I'll think about it. And I've had a cup of tea, and then I think, well, none the wiser. I'll have a flick then.
Well, yeah.
So it's a bit awkward, really, but I think overall I'm winning, just about, because of course we've got the solstice this weekend.
Indeed.
I'm very excited. Oh, hi, Hannah. Yeah, so that's really exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a good one this year.
It's
We've
going
been
to be
last year, wasn't it?
One completely distance and solstice.
Yeah, the solstice. I'm really looking forward to it. And at the weekend, I was at a crafting group that I'm with, and we were making all sorts of things to make the fairies feel welcome on the Sunday.
Yes.
In their own space, just in case they weren't feeling welcome in their own space, you know. Obviously, we're going to be invading their space and trampling about, but we're going to make it feel as though we want them to be there rather than them feeling that they should be buggering off. So, yeah.
Indeed.
So that was really nice, actually. It was a nice sunny afternoon, and we sat in the shade around a big old table in the garden. And it was really nice. We made loads of stuff. We made dragonflies and stags' heads and beady things and dream catchers and sparkly things and suns and all sorts of things, actually. It was really nice. You know, sort of with everything was with a view to celebrating the solstice and stuff. So, yeah, really looking forward to that. I think it'll be brilliant. Good old snap. And then, of course, it's downhill all the way because that's when the days get shorter and the nights get longer, isn't it?
That's one way of looking at it.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, hi, Redwing. What have we got here? Still got projects to do from the first lockdown. Yeah, exactly. You start off a project, and I've got a big project here, and I only just rediscovered it. I was like, what's in that bag there? I was like, oh, yes, I want to do something with that. And I've just got bags of unfinished projects all over the place. So, yeah, one of these days I might actually get 1 or 2 of them finished. That'd be good.
It's difficult when you get to a point where you've got so much that needs doing. You get that paralysis, as you say, where you feel like you can do nothing, and it's a real hard thing to stand back from it and go, okay, what's the one thing I need and want to do now, and push the rest out the way because it's quicker that way.
I know it is. It's really difficult. And the thing that's been very important to me this week is sorting out my sound studio, and I've managed to get that done, which is really good. And it's been on the cards for a long time. So having now done that, it nearly killed me, mind you. And hefting around, gluing great big bits of carpet and glue, and when it's already hot, and then you've got all the fumes from this glue, my God, you get warm.
Well, that's the thing. You can't say you've not achieved things when you've. I mean, that in a way, although it may not seem magical in the sense of a magical product, it's a vital, basic one that you need doing in order to then free you up for the other stuff. So it's a priority, and it will be amazing.
Yeah. So as I say, so it's been a sort of making things week actually. I'm in the process of making a rug, and I did that, and it's just so it's all rather good. And of course, all the magical stuff ready for the solstice too. And of course, I've been preparing for rituals and things like that, and doing some groundwork for research for different fae and things like that. You know, in readiness for the rituals that we're doing at the weekend. So yeah, it's all rather exciting, really. And I've got a new book as well, which came yesterday, and I'm hoping to make a start on that this evening.
That's always fun.
Yeah. So wow. Go us. Now what we got here? Spiritual place will be very honoured, I can assure you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's all about exactly, honouring the spirits of place and sort of saying, you know, well, we're here and we want to honour you. We don't want you to disappear off on our account. So yeah, exactly. So yeah, I just can't wait. I just hope the weather stays decent. You know, if it's not boiling hot, fine. If it's probably better actually, because sometimes it gets a bit much, doesn't it? And if it's cloudy, fine, it doesn't matter. And if it's a bit windy, fine, it doesn't really matter. But if it's chucking it down with rain,
then it's difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult and it's a bit miserable, isn't it? And people go, oh, do you know what? I don't think I will.
That's the thing. I mean, when we get near to times like this, I always look at the long range forecasts, and I realise it's quite. When you can see the patterns of how the isobars go, which I always used to do this as a kid anyway, I used to study them. You know, they can almost go any way. So really, until you get to almost the last minute, you can't affect much weather magic because you're not trying to shove something like a huge low pressure system out. You can't. It's not. You know. I mean, I can't do that. But you're looking for those little gaps and little tweaks and things, and you don't know what's going to happen until pretty near the time. So,
Exactly.
I mean, we'll do our best with it, but hopefully we just need to be reasonably dry. That's the main thing. It would be lovely if we could see sunset or sunrise, but that's a bit of an ask. But at least not to be getting wet would be nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's frustrating, isn't it, when you've had glorious weather? We've had it for quite some time, actually. We've had it for over a week, haven't we?
Yeah.
And you get glorious weather, but you have a certain end date in mind to think, okay, this is when I actually really want the nice weather, because it's all very nice having it now, but I'm not doing anything. And then when you get the rubbish weather on the days that you're doing something, it's so frustrating, isn't it? So but we'll be doing some things, won't we? And see what we can do.
We will. We'll work hard.
We'll stir our pots accordingly.
Yes.
Do you use any tools apart from obviously, you know, sort of weather reports and isobars and all that kind of stuff? Do you use any actual tools to do weather magic?
Not physical tools, actually. Not very often. It's usually I work, what they call it, hermetically or in my head. Most of it is visualization. It's intention. It's being clear about the place and what it's going to be and what it's going to look like. That's why I like to be very specific about where somewhere is, because that can make the difference.
Like postcodes and things, don't you? You work with a specific area, and obviously a postcode is a very, very small.
It is small, yeah.
Land, really, isn't it?
All over the place, like your friend's hand fasting, where you told me where it was. So I looked on. I like using, in terms of tools, again, not a magical tool, a very practical, mundane one. I use Google Earth because you can get a satellite image, so you can actually see what it looks like. And that helps me. It just helps me get a fix, get a bead on it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. But you don't sort of use wands or staffs or candle magic or anything like that, no?
No, generally not, because it's usually very last minute, or I'm actually there at the time and just stood there. I've never I've never had anything to hand, I suppose, and never really felt the need. If I had a sword in my hand or a wand or whatever, it would be useful. But normally there's a lot of other people around who wouldn't see that as a good thing.
Yeah.
So
you're
yeah.
brandishing a sword and asking people if they need a haircut. It's a bit worried.
Indeed. So yeah, it is more of a complete mind thing rather than a pointing at something.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I do that thing where I will blow at the clouds. I literally go on. Just or find a little bit of blue sky and then just try and widen it a bit, and just I'm really, I'm not making anything happen. I'm just saying, please, universe, let's just over there, just a tad.
Yeah, exactly. Just expand a smidge. Yeah.
I'm not really trying to order the weather about, because I think the weather is far a bigger element, shall we say, than I am. But it's a polite request.
Yeah, exactly.
And a strong request.
Yeah, and there's a lot to be said for that, and it's it's the whole thing of, like you say, the intention, and that whole thing of like for like. You want something, and so you get something. It's that sort of that positivity thing almost, isn't it? And it does. It's just seems to be one of those things. And of course, we've talked about this before, but I'm the opposite to you. So whereas you kind of disperse weather, I seem to have the being able to bring something in even when it's required. But that's quite a specific thing. And if I want a big gust of wind, it's just like, could I have that now? And then bang, and it will calm me. A big old gust of wind.
I've never tried to ask for that, so I wonder, because our energies are very similar, as we know. I suspect that you probably could. It's just that's not your go-to way of working. And I mean, the same for me. If I really wanted, I can feel that rain's coming.
Can you feel it?
Yeah, it's just that change in temperature. It's just suddenly gone. So that rain will be here any second now, I think. Actually, I think it's just started, yes. There we go. And it's coming. Sorry, got distracted there, because it was a whole atmosphere change. It just completely...
Yeah, you can feel it, can't you? Yeah, you really can. So
I've always been very sensitive to the weather, and I've always, since I was tiny and didn't even know what all of this is, whatever this is.
Yeah.
And I realise now that most of my most effective magic actually is done in here. Although I like, and I'm interested and fascinated by the tools that people use, and the spell jars and the recipes and the incense, and that actually I'm not saying I don't need it, because it's very useful for focusing your mind, but it's not my go-to way of working. It's not my instinctual way of working.
Yeah. For me, it rather depends, because I don't always use tools either. And it really depends on what it is I'm wanting, and how long I want the effect to last as well.
That's where having a spell jar or something is very useful, because it keeps it going. Yeah.
So with exactly that. So with a spell jar, it's like, okay, put all the intentions in, and get rid of negativities, bring in positivities, whatever it is that you're hoping to create. But then I don't want to, once I've done that, I don't want it to be, well, that's that, and finished and over and done with. I want that to have a certain permanency about it. And so, yes, that would be that. But it would depend entirely what I'm doing as to whether I feel the need for tools, or whether I feel the need for something that's a permanent thing, or whether there's something that I specifically want to get rid of, in which case I use a lot of symbology for things. So if there's something that I particularly wanted to get rid of, I would symbolically, for example, burn something on paper and then get rid of the ashes, if you see what I mean. And it's that whole symbology of whatever it is that I'm doing. So yeah, it kind of depends, but obviously, working in the head works a treat too. It does depend on what
different ways in. I mean, I like making too, but making things is very much your way of being hands-on. Whereas I work much. I have always worked very heavily with visualization.
Yeah,
for good or ill, to my own detriment sometimes. But that's just how I am.
Yeah. How about this for a great comment? There we go. Oh, that's weird. Little Lyndon 86, good evening. Well, that's weird. It took me 8 minutes, but I was literally just doing the rain dance with my son because he's been so hot right before I popped it. Well, sit tight, it's coming. I don't know whereabouts you are. I don't know whereabouts you are. But I'll send some over. How about that?
Yes.
Yeah, let's know where you are and we'll send you some.
Let me have a little peek out the window and see. Oh, yeah. That's definitely dampness. I haven't got my glasses on, so I can't see. Because I don't need them.
But it's lovely. I've got the windows and the door open because I love to hear it. You know, when it's really warm, you get that warm summer rain. And I think it's lovely. And you can listen to it. And yeah. And of course, been promised, according to my app, the Witchy app, according to that, it said thunder and lightning. And I'm always up for a bit of thunder and lightning.
Oh, I love it.
Thumbs up from me. So, yeah, I get really excited and I sort of go window to window. I'm like that with snow as well.
Yeah.
And I go window to window and I'm like, oh, it's this, oh, it's this, oh, it's this.
When you get them at night, sometimes we just leave the big, we've got a very big window at the back and it's kind of south, which way are we facing? Southeast, I suppose. And because that's where my garden is. And if you leave the great big window blind up, you just watch this panorama because we're quite high up. You know, lovely. Love it.
Oh, it's brilliant, isn't it? The funny thing is that since I've been here what, nearly 18 months now. And of course, it's all just, you know, it's very relatively flat land here, which is very unusual for Surrey, especially as this part's called the Surrey Hills. This is obviously the bit that's not hilly. The Surrey non-hills here. And it's really quite flat. And of course, I've got this massive expanse of nothingness. I've literally just got trees and fields and more trees. And so I've been expecting for 18 months this huge, great show, essentially. And as yet, there's been thunderstorms, but none of them have happened where I've wanted them to, where I can just sit back and watch. And occasionally you'll sort of hear a thunderclap or whatever, and I'm sort of thinking, well, where was that? Because it wasn't there, and I didn't see anything. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I just want a nice display. Little show. That'd be nice. I haven't got a telly. I just want a bit of thunder. That'd be nice. I don't ask for much.
No.
I'm very easily pleased. Oh dear. So we're in Andover, Test Valley. Andover. So that's Hampshire, isn't it? So that's more over towards the west than here. I'm just trying to think of that little map that you showed me, whether it would be that much further over.
We can check.
Yeah.
Radar, you see, that's what I like.
Yeah.
I know there are better apps, but this is the one that comes with the phone, so it's kind of easier.
Yeah.
Let's go on there. Let's go radar. More.
I'm going to tell you about my very special gift in a minute.
Oh. Radar. Right, sorry, it doesn't make good telly, does it, me standing here doing this?
It's all right. While you're doing that,
I would say around where you guys are, that's what's coming up your way.
So is that me?
No, that's more down towards the west. That's more down towards Andover.
Oh, cool. I will sit tight, little Lyndon, because it's coming your way. Excellent. Look at that.
The whole south east of England.
Yeah. Oh, what a beaut.
So I think everyone should be in for a bit of a treat.
Works for me. Would you like to hear about my very, 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 very special present?
Oh, yeah.
So my dear friend Hannah, who's on here, we were talking about thunder and lightning, and I was saying how excited I get by lightning and how amazing I find it and how I just love the energy from it and so on and so forth. And she very kindly gave me a piece of blasted oak tree, and that's made it into this. Well, it's like a little tiny wand. It's really special. It's just lovely. So I've got, obviously there's the power of the lightning in the wood, and it's just lovely, absolutely lovely. So yeah, really chuffed with that. It's just lovely. It really is, and it's so powerful. It's very little, but it's really powerful. You can feel it. You can almost feel it buzz when you hold it. You can almost feel the energy from it. It's really sort of buzzy. It's just, really lovely. And I've never had a
size isn't everything, is it, in the world of wands?
It's what? Sorry,
I said size isn't everything in the world of wands.
No, it's not at all. But I think honestly, if you had a wand made out of that was the normal wand size, sort of 12, 13 inches. Oh my god, I don't think you'd be able to control it, because it's really quite buzzy, even though it's only very small. But it doesn't need to be big because it's got such energy and such power in it. It's just lovely, absolutely lovely. Would you like to see it?
Oh yes.
I'm very proud of it. Very proud of it. Now then, no. Yeah, absolutely. It was just such a lovely thing, what a lovely gift. So yeah, so it's all wrapped up. I'm a lucky girl. Yeah, I was really, really excited when she said that this is what she'd done. Well, they said that's what they'd done for me. Sorry, I beg your pardon. So yeah, look. As you can see,
you might have to pop Little Lyndon's comment down, because I can't really.
Oh, well, I still got that up there.
Yeah, it cuts some of the screen.
Yeah, there we go.
There we go. That.
Look. I can feel it. It's like it fizzes.
It's like a good champagne.
Yeah. Look at that. Isn't that lovely?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And it's all sort of twisty, and yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. So yeah. So I was really chuffed with that. What a lovely present. So I told you I was easily pleased. See.
That's a thing to be pleased with.
Yeah, most definitely. So, and when someone's taken time and effort to turn it from one thing into something for you as well, I mean, how lovely is that? So yeah, so that was really kind. So I was really pleased with that. Wrap that up. Keep it safe. Yeah, put that there for now. There. I should wrap it up properly in a bit.
Yeah, don't lose it.
No, I'll put it on the edge of my table there, so it'll be fine. I'll wrap it up properly in a minute. So what's that? That used to be that. I thought I have this collection of things on the table, and every now and again I think, what's that, and how did that get there, and where did I put it? Yeah, exactly. Now then, what have we got here? Have I missed anything?
Susie's got a comment in there.
Yeah. So Susie says, when I was 20, I spent a little time at First Nation Reserve in Canada. They named turquoise Thunderbird stone. Thunderbird stone. Oh wow.
And they use it in weather magic. And I love turquoise. It's something I used to wear quite a lot. I don't wear it so much now, but if I ever find it, it's very special.
Yeah. My nana had a thing about turquoise, and I don't know why, but it was just something she loved. She had lots of jewellery with turquoise stones, and it was just something that she resonated with. It was just something that she loved. And she used to spend about 8 months of the year in America and 4 months of the year in the UK. And she did that until she was in her late 80s, believe it or not. She used to just go backwards and forwards until she was about 87, 88, I think it was. She used to just go trundling backwards and forwards every few months between one and the other. But she had a real sort of connection with the American Indians, and she used to buy occasionally, not that often, but she used to buy things from the Indian reserves, the American Indian reserves, native people over there, and so she'd send things over. So sometimes it was jewellery, and sometimes she sort of send clothing that they'd made. So we had, I remember one occasion she sent over moccasins for everybody, and that was really bizarre. So this would have been back in the 70s. And she just sort of sent these just randomly in a parcel. She'd send parcels quite a lot. And just randomly sent moccasins for everybody. These very, very long, soft things and the leather bits at the bottom. Not the sort of moccasins that you might see in a shoe shop, but, the proper Native American moccasins. It's like, well, it's very nice, but what do you do with it now?
Well, where are you going to wear that?
Exactly, yeah. And but of course, then when she came to visit, we also felt this compulsion to put them on. God, I've forgotten about them. I don't know what suddenly made me think of that. My God. Oh, my. I haven't thought about them for like 50 years. Wow. Yeah. What a memory. Wow. So, yeah. And I was very proud to have them, partly because my nana had sent them, and partly because, she bigged up what they were.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, wow, I can't believe that. That's a suppressed memory.
Just came back to you.
So yeah, something popped in my head. Wow, oh how lovely. Yeah, they were strange though, and they certainly weren't something you could just put on and go to the shop.
Well, if you did, you'd have got some quite strange looks, I'm sure.
Yeah, even in the 70s, yeah, definitely. Because they weren't socks and they weren't shoes, and you couldn't put shoes over the top of them, and they weren't slippers. It was like,
it's sort of, neither one thing nor the other.
Yeah, they kind of were in, well, it's a limbo shoe, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, but she did. She had a real, sort of real soft spot for the Native Americans, and she, provided various outfits for my mum in, various different bits of jewellery and so on. So yeah, it's all rather lovely, really.
Oh.
Right, what's this one here? I'm gonna move it. Hang on. Yeah, US turquoise is the real deal. I have an impressive necklace of African turquoise, but actually that's of naturally coloured jasper and not true turquoise. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff around that is where they're trying to pass it off as turquoise, but it is actually howlite. It's dyed howlite.
Yeah.
And the thing howlite naturally, I've watched a lot of YouTube on this because obviously jewellery is one of my business things.
Yeah.
You can tell because when you look at the little holes where the threads go through, it'll be white because the dye doesn't go all the way through.
Ah, right. Mm.
And also, real turquoise, when it gets old, goes darker, goes almost greeny colour.
Yeah. She left me my nana left me a turquoise ring that my mother had bought for her in the early 50s. So obviously it's it's an old ring. Actually, it's rather nice. And as you say, that's over 70 years old now. But yeah, and that's more of a green now than the turquoise as it was. But I can remember her sitting, and she always used to fiddle with it because it used to be a little bit on the big side. It used to flop round, a ring round to the wrong side underneath the finger instead of sitting on the top. And it used to do that, so she would always be fiddling with it. But so that's a green sort of colour now. So
so that is a real, that obviously is real.
Yeah. Oh, it's lovely, absolutely lovely. So now what we got here? She said, completely ignoring it. Opened Instagram and saw an ad for fairies, which prompts the question: what did you discover in your car research?
Fae research.
In your what? Sorry.
Fae research.
Oh, Fae research. When you were doing for the solstice. So basically, I've got an idea where everyone's going to come to this ritual, and then they're going to go home with an idea. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it for those people that are watching. But they're going to be going home with ideas about different fairies, basically. And of course, you've sort of got the several camps on fairies, haven't you? You've got those people that are sort of like, oh, they're nothing, they're just, sort of something whimsical and part of the imagination. And then you've got those people that are like, no, they're actual spirits, brighty beings, and they've all got different significances. And that's kind of what I want to bring to the party, if you like. The fact that there are so many different fae that have different attributes, in the same way that you can say that gods and goddesses have got different human traits, different attributes, whether that's something, how can I put that? Whether that's something that you sort of say, it's a personification of a set of attributes, and that's why you would sort of feel a kinship to a particular deity or whatever, or whether that's something that you take on as an actual person, actual deity, or whether it's just a set of values. But the idea is that, obviously, in the same way that you get different attributes with deities, you get different attributes with fairies. And actually, when I was looking through over the last couple of days, there's some very, very sad fairies about. I was really quite heartbroken with some of them. As I said, I don't want to say too much today because I don't want to spoil anything for the weekend, but I'll talk more about that next week. And I shan't be asking anybody to do any research on these particularly sad fairies that I've discovered, because that would not be in the spirit of the of the jollities of the day. But there was some that was just, wow, it was really quite heartbreaking who they kind of look after and the reasons for their supposed existence and things like that. I was really rather taken aback, actually. But I'll talk more about that next week, if that's all right with you, simply because, as I said, I don't want to kind of like spoil the novelty of what's going to happen. So, yeah. But it is interesting because they've all got different attributes in the same way that different people have and deities have and so on and so forth. And it's kind of interesting because there's some that you can sort of bond with more than with other ones. You sort of, in the same way that if there's a bloke down the pub that's into beer swilling and football, I'm not going to be interested. But if there's someone that's interested in life, the universe, and everything, then that's more my bag, and so that person I would gravitate to. So, yeah, and it's the same really with all the other beings and creatures in the world, really, isn't it? That's what's so lovely. Yeah, and of course, then you've got the dryads and other things that will be lurking around in our presence, I hope. So, it'd be nice to see some. Nice. If they behave. They're not going to behave, they can go and do one. Quite frankly. We'll set them on the children. If they're going to be horrible, we'll set them on the children.
Oh, okay.
That'll make them think twice.
You will behave.
You will behave. I'll set the fairies on. Yeah. Take your sticky fingers over there. And I'll send you the fairies. Yeah.
The concept of fairies being terribly sweet and fluffy and fairy, in the silly sense of fairy is quite inaccurate in a lot of levels. They're on as many levels as anything can be.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And there's some really quite sinister ones around, actually. And there's some that you definitely wouldn't want in your house, and certainly you wouldn't want to invite them in your garden.
Yes, all fairies are not created equal.
No, they're really not. When I was little, I've talked before about this lovely garden that we had. That wasn't huge, but I mean, at the time it seemed massive because obviously I was only small. But it was a two-parted garden. If anyone's not heard me talk about it before, it had a sort of a flat, normal garden part, and then there was a sloped part which was more like woodland, but then led down to a bird sanctuary, which was not nobody was permitted to go in there. It was completely blocked off for the public. And in fact, even the council didn't go in and manage the woodland. It was purely left natural, which was lovely. Mm-hmm. But I used to spend most of my time in the garden wooded part, which meant I couldn't be seen from the house. And I could do my own thing. And I used to interact with what I believe to be the fairies down there. And they used to bring me gifts. And, it wasn't just sort of any old stuff. They used to bring really quite interesting things. And the first thing that they brought was a bracelet, which is now in the Natural History Museum in London, because it was so noteworthy that my parents, I must have been about 6, I think, 5 or 6. And it was so noteworthy that they decided that they should get somebody to look at it. And then they put it on display in the Natural History Museum. And it was a very small bracelet. I suppose it was that kind of size.
Wow.
So presumably it was a child's bracelet. It was only small. But it was made from bone. And the bone had been carved into, for the most part, into circular beads. And then it was held together with iron, which was somewhat rusted, but it was held together with iron in a circuit. And then there was about 5 beads that were kind of elongated spearhead shape, but they were also bone. So the whole thing was made of bone, and same held together with, in a circuit with iron. And of course, it was left for me on a stone. There was this big flat stone that was down at the bottom of the garden, and that's where things were always left for me. So I went down there, and I've been stirring various potions and lotions, same as I always have been. Went down there, and there it was, just sitting on the stone. So I'm like, oh, that's lovely. Fairies have left me a present. So I came back up to the garden, and it's like, what the fairies have given me. I'm like, where did you get that? I'm like, it was at the bottom on the stone. Don't think they believed me. Pursued it further, and I wasn't going to give them any other different answer, because that's what the answer was. And I can remember it clear as day. And so, yeah, they got it checked out, and off it went to the Natural History Museum. It would have been quite nice to have kept it, actually. So that was that. And then there were a couple of other things that appeared that were less noteworthy. And then a ring appeared, and the ring, again, it was just on this stone. And the ring was kind of like, I'm sure you'll know what the proper name of this is, but like a stone, a ring that's got a stone in the middle that's got like diamonds or something all the way around the outside.
Yeah.
What you'd call that. Sort of on a plain band, or on a band that's got like a crown thing on it, and then the stone with diamonds around the outside. And the stone in the middle was missing, but it had all the diamonds. And so I sort of, found it. It was on the ring. It had been left for me. And so, of course, back up the garden. That's what I thought. Some of the mum's like, where did you get that from? It's like, the fairies left it for me. No, where did you get it from? The fairies left it for me. So I got a smack for telling lies. And then she put it in gin, because apparently that's what brings out diamonds. I'd rather drink gin, but anyway, put it in. And yeah, sparkle, and it was gold. But the stone in the centre that would have been there, God knows what that would have been, was missing. But yeah, it was all diamonds, and then on this gold band. And so yeah, it was left for me by the fairies, and I'm convinced it was the fairies. Mum said maybe it was a magpie. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Who knows? But I found it, and there it was on the stone. And so why on the stone? It was everything that always came was always on this flat stone. It was a mossy stone, and it was always left there. So there, my fairies. Never saw them. Always wanted to. Had a feeling they were there and they could see me, but I couldn't see them. So yeah. But
yes,
yeah,
certainly never seen anything.
no. So that was 2 smacks I got for the fairies at least.
I always used to love the fairy rings.
Oh
I was always fascinated with those, the way they made the grass change, and obviously
yeah.
they are mushrooms, but they still have that amazing circular appearance, and
Yeah. It's
they just
wonderful.
felt
They
very
come
fashion
up,
when
and
you
they
went
suddenly
into them.
come up from nowhere, don't they? And you're like,
Mm.
oh, yeah. No, I think they're wonderful. Yeah, lovely. Oh, I like them. Right, what we got here? Right, I think I also missed another question.
I think they were talking about the sea, which is the Scottish, Irish. Mm.
Oh, hang on a minute. I missed one. The she. Yeah. In other words, it's surprise. Yeah, absolutely. I'll talk more about it next week. So yeah, definitely not in the house hands. Definitely not. Definitely not. No. So if it's the she in Scotland and Ireland or Sif, do they have a specific name in English, or are they just Fae?
Interesting.
I don't know the answer to that.
Susie might know. She's very well informed.
Yeah, somebody will know. If you know, please tell me, because I don't know whether we've got our own specifics or whether we just have the full standard Fae. I don't mean any disrespect when I say that.
I was going to say that's a bit damning.
There's nothing wrong with the bog standard Fae. They served me well, even if I did get a snap bottom for it.
Well, exactly. It was worth it.
It was, yeah. Well, sort of, because I wasn't allowed to keep the ring. I don't know what happened to that. I think Mum had it.
You should have not have kept quiet after that.
Yeah, I think I did after that. I think I did with all things after that. And the thing that I liked, I mean, the sparkly, the sparkliness of the ring was nice. But the thing that I really, really liked was that little bracelet, and I loved that. I really did. And it got just taken away and then sent off to the museum. And I was like, oh. The funny thing was that years later, a friend of mine, her partner worked for the British Museum, and I'm like, you've got something of mine there, and he found it.
Yeah,
He actually found it. Yeah, because they don't exhibit things all the time, because obviously they've got millions of artifacts, haven't they? And they sort of rotate what they've got. Well, he actually found it, but didn't mean I got it back or got to see it. So yeah. Yeah, it's a bit off, really, isn't it? It would be quite nice. But yeah, no, it got taken away. That was the end of that. Hello, Chris.
I think you can make inquiries on the British Museum website to try and. I mean, I've done it with things like vintage scarves and stuff when I've been trying to track in information, and they've usually got a database of stuff, and I think you can request to see a picture of it or have more information on it.
Yeah, that might be
interesting to do.
Yeah, as I say, because obviously they donated it, my parents donated it, I didn't, and it was my find. You know what I mean? It was
yeah.
I was a little bit peeved about it, to be honest. I still do.
It was given to you.
It was. It was taken away, and I got a smack bottom. It was like,
it
was definitely a lose-lose situation, that one. Maybe that was the phase joke. Maybe they had a really wicked sense of humour. They decided that was what was going to entertain them for the rest of the day. Yeah, great. Thank you very much. Yeah.
I've got a cat.
I've got a shouty cat. Come on, a shouty cat.
Come on, Tinker. You're wet.
Oh, we got a soggy moggy.
He's a little bit soggy.
A soggy moggy. Yeah. So Fae, modern English, Scottish Sith with a thing over the Irish she. Considering the Highland clearances and the Irish being pushed into the Scottish Highlands, I'd assume the she are almost, if not identical.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. Most languages borrow from each other, says Susie. Yes, of course they do. Le weekend. Perfect. English peruses other languages and mugs them for lingua. Faye comes from French. Double Bekie. Yeah. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah. So that's it. Fairies having a bloody good laugh. If they think they're going to have a good laugh with me this coming weekend, wait and think again. Just saying. Oh, look at this little doggy. Oh, look at him.
Look at those feet. Right, over there. He likes to sit on the table at the front and just look out at the neighbours. He's a nosy neighbour. If there was a next curtain there, he'd be twitching it.
I was going to say, is he a curtain twitcher?
Yeah, he's definitely a curtain twitcher.
Oh, God. Hattie has driven me up the wall today. So, you know when Hattie goes out and then he forgets how to get back in again?
Mm-hmm.
Well, clearly the sun got to him today and it frazzled the very small amount of brain that he had. So every time he went out, he would have his back to the door. It didn't matter whether he was over there, over there, over there. It didn't matter where it was. And he never went more than 8 feet away from the door. And, you know, facing in the wrong direction. Meow, meow, meow. And I'm like, I'm in here. Meow. I'd keep going and getting him. And I think he just got fried by the weather, as it was really hot, and I think he just, as I say, the couple of remaining cells that he's got in his head just got frazzled. Oh, yes, talking about you. Talking about you. Yes. So I just keep going and getting in, and then he'd go back out again, and then he'd forget how to get back in. And I think, if you can't remember how to get back in, don't go out.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So eventually I got fed up with that. And Bert was asleep on my bed, so I gave him a good prod and he got up and then he looked after him because it was really distracting. It was literally every 2 minutes and he was doing it. I was like, oh, I'm in here. So, yeah. Yes, you, Dopey cat. Come on. Yeah. God, he's such a donut. He really is. Oh, God, what we got here? Hang on a minute.
Lots of information from...
Oh, information. Right, let's read this out for people that can't see it. In Ireland, the term Beanshi means variously women of the side or women of the fairy mounds, as well as women of the barrows and women of the fairy mansions. Ooh. Well known in Irish mythology as a female spirit or Celtic fairy being, she's usually regarded as an omen or harbinger of death or a messenger from the other world. Hannah says screaming banshee. Similar creature is the Scottish counterpart called the beansheaf or beanshee, with similar creature known as the beanie. Only a set number of Irish families who can truly hear the beanshee. Ah, excellent. Cool. I find it fascinating, and I always desperately wanted to see one. Always, well, still do, to be honest. Given half a chance, I should not say no. And every time I go to my woods, I kind of hope to see one because I've got a fairy ring at my woods, and it's not a traditional fairy ring at my woodland. It's because obviously the fairy ring, like you mentioned before, you've got your toadstool ring.
Yeah.
But mine, the fairy ring that I have at my woods, I have 3 lime trees. They're huge, really very, very tall lime trees. And there's, with a central tree, they're all in a line, and with a central lime tree in the middle, there's a ring that goes from one of the trees. There's a ring, catches in the third lime tree with the one in the middle, remember, and then you've got them like coming back around again, of hawthorn bushes. And it is very, very much a fairy ring. And for the most part, you sort of go somewhere near and you're like, no, I can't come here. You just get that feeling of foreboding. You cannot go. Sometimes you can't go near it, let alone go in it. Occasionally, If I kind of push my luck, I'm like, can I please? And you'll get in a little bit and they'll be there for a bit. It's like, it's time to go. So it's definitely a bit of woodland that I never bother with. It's only quite small when you think how close, as close as 3 huge lime trees can be together. That's how close they are. And then, the sort of the ring that goes around them. But it's fascinating, and it's just one of those areas you just don't go in. You absolutely don't go in. It's just, I know, and every time I go, it's like, oh, I'd love to see something here. Or would I?
Yeah, well, when you have seen things, sometimes you really wish you didn't.
Yeah, exactly. Or would I? And of course, various odd things happen at my woods, so I'm not entirely sure. Perhaps not. I don't know. Perhaps, maybe if I'm not on my own.
Yeah.
Maybe if I've got a pal with me, that'd be a bit different. But yeah, one day. Yeah, that'd be cool. God, it's absolutely throwing it down out there.
Yeah. Ditto.
Yeah. Good. Get it out of the way.
Indeed. Then it can just move on.
Yes. Move along. Nothing to see here. And oh yes. The O'Neills, the O'Briens, and the O'Connors, and the O'Grady's, and the Kavanaghs. I'm sorry, I don't understand that.
They're the families that
families.
the Banshee.
Ah, right. Cool. Lovely. Well, on that note, it's time that we popped off. Really, we'll talk more about the fairies and the ritual and stuff after we've done it, so we don't spoil other people's surprises. But yeah, so we'll talk more about that next time. Meanwhile, have an amazing solstice, whatever you happen to be doing, whether you're in the northern hemisphere, summer solstice. If you're in the southern hemisphere, merry Yule. Have a lovely one.
Yeah.
So it does seem bizarre, doesn't it? So yes, have an amazing time, everybody, and I hope you all get what you need from the solstice, and take it forward into the second half of the year. So we'll see you next Wednesday. We'll be full of the joys of spring next time. Well, full of the joys of summer, hopefully, and not too wet.
Let's hope.
We've held ourselves off a little bit by then, I'm sure. Oh dear. Anyway, cheerio, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.